The secret of selling to the Negro is expressed in one word. That word is recognition. Now, there's nothing unusual about that. People want to be recognized. He needs to feel important and appreciated. This need is a very real and important one. It shows up even in many of the Negro's shopping habits. Anyone who sells or wants to sell to the Negro customer should know about some of these habits.
In boardrooms across 1950s America, corporate executives made, I guess, what one would call a startling discovery that would transform American marketing forever. They found out that Black Americans actually had money to spend, and yet almost no one was trying to earn it. So what followed wasn't just a shift in advertising, it was a very, 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 very calculated move. Behind closed doors, companies developed secret playbooks to capture the Black dollar, while maintaining segregation elsewhere. The same corporations that refused to hire Black employees suddenly featured Black faces in their ads. The same banks that redlined Black neighborhoods eagerly solicited Black deposits. The same stores that made Black customers use back entrances now showcased Black families in their catalogs. This wasn't about progress, it was all about profit, and the effects of these tactics still shape Black consumer habits today. So let's talk about brand loyalty. One thing that really stood out in the marketing strategies from the 20th century is how Black consumers were drawn to brand name products. It wasn't just about getting something they needed, it was about getting something they could trust. And trust came from brands that had built a reputation for quality. At the time, many Black consumers had been burnt by low quality products that didn't hold up or didn't meet their expectations. So when they started spending their money, they were very careful about where it went. What's interesting here, though, is that buying a trusted high-quality brand was almost like making a statement. It wasn't just about the product itself, it was about the message it sent, that they deserved the best, just like anyone else. And honestly, marketers picked up on this very quickly. They realized that if they could position their products as high-end or associated with prestige, they'll tap into something much deeper than just purchasing behavior. They'll tap into Black consumer desires for respect and recognition. Now, here's the thing. Black consumers weren't just looking for any brand, they wanted the right brand. The brands that stood out, that stood for something, and that represented quality, sophistication, and let's be real, the aspiration for upward mobility. It's no coincidence that the luxury items like high-end cosmetics or fine crystals found their way into marketing campaigns targeting Black families. These weren't just goods, they were symbols of success. They just wanted to be a part of it. And speaking of families, marketing to Black consumers wasn't just about selling one person on a product. It was about selling to the whole family. Black families tended to make purchasing decisions together, which meant brands had to appeal to the collective. Marketers really leaned into this, showing that their products could benefit everyone in the household. It wasn't just about an individual's choice, it was about community, tradition, and collective values, which, of course, the white marketing experts made sure that their ads always included Black families. So when one person in a community saw something they liked, it was likely to spread to others because there was a huge power, and there still is, in word of mouth in the Black community. But all of this, as we know, did not happen by accident. Historically, Black consumers have always been overlooked or misunderstood by the broader retail market. And honestly, a lot of assumptions were made about what they could or couldn't afford. But as Black families started earning more and spending more, businesses finally saw the potential. And then, of course, there was that shift, right? Marketers realized that they had to change their approach. Instead of being this afterthought, Black consumers were suddenly being marketed to directly in a way that acknowledged their buying power and their cultural significance. Brands like Ebony magazine, for example, became a huge outlet where advertisers realized that this new wave of Black consumers weren't just looking for products, they were looking for brands that understood them, that saw them as equals. Ultimately, these early marketing efforts left a huge mark, influencing how businesses engage with Black communities today. Advertising influences everyone, but according to a 2021 Nielsen report, Black consumers are 42% more likely to engage with mobile ads than the general population. We respond to TV, radio, and internet ads, and we dominate spending in industries like beauty, fashion, and entertainment. Companies know this. They see our buying power. By the way, just bear in mind that the Black community is one of the most powerful consumer groups in America, spending over $1 trillion a year on goods and services. These guys aren't serving us, they are selling to us. And of course, as we know, the average white family has 8 times the wealth of the average black family, according to the Federal Reserve. Of course, the systemic barriers, lower wages, fewer resources, limited access to financial education, but spending habits do play a role. The report found that black consumers are more likely to pay extra for products that align with an aspirational lifestyle. We're also twice as likely to find shopping relaxing and enjoyable. And while there's nothing wrong with spending, too much focus on consumption rather than on wealth building leaves us beautiful but broke. With little access to assets that build wealth, spending became one of the few ways black consumers could express status, identity, and dignity. And you might be thinking, oh, what's the point of looking cool but you're broke? Well, guys, we're going to have like a part 2 to really delve into this, and for me to also do some more research, because this is all very interesting, guys. I just feel like people need to understand the psychological impact of back in the day, and this is passed down generation to generation. I say this because even when I have conversations with my own parents, my mom and my mother-in-law, and their mindsets on certain things, I'm like, God damn, this is 2025. What do you mean I have to get a degree? What do you mean I have to get a piece of paper? What do you mean having a degree is it's just status? What do you mean you're gonna do these pyramid schemes? What do you mean you're going to keep borrowing but not using the money you're borrowing very wisely? There's a lot of impact generationally. You can be like, oh, but there's so many resources nowadays. Yes, there are a lot of resources, and thankfully we are a generation that knows better because we are being raised in these generations. But I look at my mother, who has done incredible, by the way. She's a homeowner. She became a homeowner as a single mom. She has 3 beautiful children. She has been in her career for 17 years, has 2 degrees. She's killing it. However, she actually grew up at a time when she was 10 years old in Zimbabwe, there were still separate bathrooms. She came to the UK at the age of 27, and it was earning £6 an hour as a care home person whilst balancing university and sending pretty much all her money back home to her family because she needed to feed her family. And then, of course, the marketing for credit cards was huge back then, right? So it was like, oh, let me get a credit card, because the marketing would be like, oh, it's a status symbol. You can help your family. You can do this. It trickles down to generations. We have a long way to go. But I'm thankful for the lot of young people, millennials, and even some of the boomers who are changing things. But we have a long way to go as a community, right? So let's cut a few people some slack. Let's talk about breaking the cycle. There's nothing wrong with spending. Black culture is expressive and influential. The issue isn't spending itself. It's when spending outpaces wealth building. We need more financial literacy to be as culturally relevant as fashion and music. And look, I'm not trying to get at my community, right? But it's okay, what do we do now? We need to redefine success beyond what we own to what we build and leave behind. Marketers and businesses must move beyond selling products and start investing in black financial empowerment as well. I don't know if we want to get into this. Why do we not support each other sometimes? This is a different topic. Despite these financial barriers, black Americans have long been recognized as a powerful economic force. Hello. Black consumers are trendsetters, cultural drivers, and brand loyalists.